Hello everyone, welcome to another prototype video. In this video I'm going to be going over overkill events and how to get platinum for each event. As you can see here, I'm going over all my scores I got for these events. There's like over 15 of these events, so this video is going to be quite a long one, and I hope this helps you out. The first event we're doing is the aerial assault event. For this event we are using the rocket launcher now to take out all of the helicopters. Now the best thing to do is to focus on one chopper, shoot one rocket at it, and then move on to the next helicopter. And also, in this event, you want to use the thermal vision so you can see the helicopters easier, because they might crash onto the roof when you blow them up, as you can see what happened on my run. I think that's a good way to spot helicopters.
On the perimeter, but otherwise go yellow. Out.
The next event is the armor event. In this event we're in a tank and we've got to destroy all the military in this area, so you want to mainly focus on the tanks at first, since they give you the most points. Also, when you see regular military people on the ground, you want to use your machine gun on them rather than waste a tank shell, because it takes a while to reload that thing, and with the machine gun you can just keep on holding the trigger down. Another thing I found really helpful was to stay in this position that I'm in, since the enemies can really come from two directions, whereas if you're moving around over time, you've got to adjust your turret, and the rotation speed on this tank is dreadful. The next event we're doing is the catch event. For this, we need to use the grenade launcher to take out the APCs and army personnel in this area. Now, I mainly just focused on the APCs at the beginning, since they give the most points, and you always want to make sure you're always on the move all the time, since the military can spawn all over the place.
All missiles, check optical for targets. Truck has been damaged. We're down, but not out. Hang in, we still got enough to take it down. Subsystems down, we're still operational. Ground, the situation is under control. Over.
The next event is the clear cutscene event, and for this, you want to go out onto the street where I do at the start and mainly focus on the regular infected. And since we're using the blade attack, you want to keep using the X attack, where you keep spamming X to swing your arm all around you. This attack is pretty good at clearing big numbers of infected. You don't really want to use the Y attack where you charge it, since you waste about a second charging it up, so you want to keep moving, keep going to large groups of enemies. Next event we'll be doing is the Death from Above event. For this event we're in the chopper and we've got to take out other choppers coming at us, so it's best to use the heat-seeking missile when they're really far away. When they get too close, you want to switch to the chain gun and take them out that way. You want to ignore the missiles in the middle, since they basically do nothing in the air. Yeah, just keep using the heat-seeking missile and the chain gun.
That's good. Head ground, we're going in. Request SAR, immediate. Target's still moving. Haven't seen that before. Ground is coming up. Target unaffected, over. Fox, this is air support going in. Repeat, going in.
Incoming aircraft, return to your previous flight path. You're entering secured airspace.
Mayday, mayday, we are going down. All stations going on. Mayday, mayday. We're got negative on control. Negative. Weapons away. Good fire. Just Tornado 7 going down hard. Stand off. Looks like civilians are hit. What the hell are we fighting here? Control's gone. Control is gone. We are spitting out.
The next event we'll be doing is the demolition event. However, we're going to be doing it slightly differently. Now, as you can see here in the sped up section, I am getting tanks from the street and lining them up near where the event starts. So you want to do this because each of these tanks give you 10 points, and I think I get about 9, I think, from what I can remember, and I instantly get bronze medal in about the first 5 seconds. So this is really good, since I really struggled with this event to get platinum. I was always getting gold all the time. I really think this is a good way to get platinum easily, and as you'll see, I'll easily get platinum with lots of time to spare. So I highly recommend doing this beforehand, getting all the tanks and lining them up nicely. When you've destroyed all the tanks in the street you're lined up, you want to focus on the APCs and tanks that come after you. Also, you want to use the thermobaric cannon along with the regular cannon as much as possible. The next event we'll be doing is the disembowelment event. For this, we've got to use the claws to take out the military. It's best to use the standard attack where you keep tapping X and combine it with Y. But you don't want to hold Y to do the attack where the spikes come out the ground, because that wastes a lot of time. And also, probably won't get as many targets like I did when I first tried it. So it's best to just use the regular attack and just keep running towards them and slicing them. The next event we're doing is the Dismemberment event, and for this we are using the claw attack and have to take out all the infected. Now for this event you want to go out onto the street where all the regular infected are and try not to stay in the park as long as I do, since there isn't really that many infected. And when you go out onto the street, like, all the infected with the red triangles above their heads will come after you automatically, along with the hunters. And then during this event you want to use the Y attack like I am doing, where you hold Y, where you punch the ground and spikes come out of it. The next event is the explosive event, and for this we've got to use the grenade launcher to kill the infected. Best way I found to do this was to always make sure you're always on the move all the time, constantly be in the air, jump on the building to gain height over them, and try and stay off the ground as much as possible, otherwise they will swarm you and you'll get knocked over by your own blasts from the launcher. Couldn't resist putting this in. I just love the way you can jump off buildings and cause carnage beneath you. Anyway, on to the next event. The next event is the Fire in the Sky event, and this is another helicopter based event where we've got to take out all the infected. Now the best thing to do is just to keep flying up and down the street and using the rockets in the middle to shoot the regular infected. Like, this event is really easy, so you'll get platinum on this, no problem at all. The next event we're doing is the Friendly Fire event, and for this we've got to take out all the other helicopters and tanks coming after us. Now for this you mainly want to use the heat-seeking missile and machine gun, on the helicopters. Like when the helicopters are far away, use the missile. When they're close, use the chain gun. And for the tanks, use the heat-seeking missile on them too.
Tornado 1's lost power, going in badly. Red Crown, target is still standing. Attack complete, target unaffected, over. See where he went. Mayday, mayday, I've got negative on control, negative. Red Crown, engagement has no effect. Copy. Red Crown, stand off. Looks like civilians are heading over. Ground is coming up fast. We're hit! Mayday! 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 Set it to auto. Continue it. Target's still moving. Haven't seen that before. Fuck, this is air support. Going in. Repeat, going in. Tornado command. Weapons away. Good fire. You got visual on a hit, over.
And also, this is a good event to get the gunning achievement, as you'll see me unlock it in a few moments' time. Next event we're doing is the Grind to the Bones event. And quite frankly, the title of this event refers to the amount of times I had to try and do this event to meet quite hard to do this. The best way I found is just to completely ignore the hunters and the infected with that have got red triangles above their heads, and just go to where the large groups of normal infected are and just press X to smash the floor, then Y to do a heavy attack, and then you should get this no problem. Like, I was quite lucky towards the end. I think I got about 40 odd enemies in one attack, which is really good. So yeah, we want to keep on moving, keep going to the different crowds of people, and when you're doing those attacks you want to spin your camera around to try and get an idea of where the next group is. The next event is the Infected Patrol event, and this time we're in APC. So for this event you want to completely ignore the hunters and the infected it tells you to go after. You just want to keep driving up and down the streets in the infected areas and just keep shooting the regular infected with the rocket launcher and the machine gun. You should get this no problem. The next event we're doing is the Iron event, and this is another really hard event I found. Best way I found to do this was to stay more or less where you spawn, and then you can focus on the enemies a lot easier. Like there's one or two ways which they can come from, whereas before when I was trying this I was moving about all the time and it was wasting a lot of time having to go over cars and then not having as much gun depression on the gun because the tank is facing in the air. So this is the best way I found to do it. It's just to stay more or less where you spawn and use the rocket launcher to take out the APCs and the chain gun, take out the regular military. However, the military is armed with rocket launchers, so you want to take them out really quickly, and I was quite close to dying on this one, I think. And then at the beginning of this event you might have noticed that a destroyed APC was right by where I spawned, and that's where I died last time when I tried to do this. The next event we're doing is the KNUCKLE-DRAGGER event. This is another event that I had trouble with. It took me quite a while to do this, and for this you want to mainly focus on the tanks that spawn, and also you want to try and get really high up so that you can elbow drop on them in one hit, as I think you'll see in this clip. No, not here. I think it's in this next section where, yeah, it is here, where I hit him in one hit, and like the first tank where it took two, boom, he's dead. So you want to make sure be really high up on the tanks. You know, I wouldn't really bother going after the military people since they don't give you that much points, and you're wasting a lot of time elbow and drop on one person, whereas you can get 10 points for a tank kill. The next event we're doing is the Nothing Left Alive event, and in this event we're against the military and tanks, and we're also using the blade attack. So you want to make sure you go after the tanks mainly and jump really high in the air and hold Y to drop down on them and hit them in one hit with the air blade attack. Overall, I really enjoy this event. Like, this is my favourite attack in the game. I love jumping on tanks and then blowing them up in one hit like the Incredible Hulk. The next event we're doing is to now reap the whirlwind event. For this event we're using the rocket launcher and have to take out the infected. Now for this event you want to completely ignore the hunters since they take too long to kill and just go after the normal infected on the streets. So you want to make sure you keep jumping in the air all the time. You don't want to do what I did and stay on the floor most of the time because you'll take loads of damage, and I actually died on this event before I did this one. I was pretty close to dying towards the end as well. The next event we're doing is the ordnance event, and for this you want to keep driving up and down the streets and keep shooting the infected. You want to completely ignore the hunters since they take too long, and you'll easily get more than enough points to get the platinum requirement for this event. The next event we're doing is the Overkill event, and for this we are using the Whip Fist and have to take out all the military in this area. Now you want to make sure that you pay attention to the map all the time, since you don't have a lot of time for this event. You have like under a minute. You gotta get 40 points for platinum. So what I did was I paid attention to the map and went to the military and pressed X twice and then pressed Y, which then swings the Whip Fist all around you. The next event we're doing is the Projectiles event, and this is another really easy event where we're in the chopper. We have to take out all the infected, so you want to keep flying up and down the streets and shooting the regular infected on the road with your missiles in the middle. You don't want to use the heat-seeking missiles or the chain gun. You want to use the missiles in the middle since they have good DPM. You can fire them really fast as well, unlike the heat-seeking missile. The next event we're doing is the Rain and Fire event, and this is another helicopter based event where we've got to take out all the infected / firewall detectors flying about in the sky. Now for this you want to use the chain gun only, since it takes too long to fire the heat-seeking missiles. It doesn't really have a good fire rate, unlike the chain gun where you can hold the trigger down for most of the time. But be careful though to not overheat the chain gun, otherwise you won't be able to shoot for a short amount of time.
Stand down. All positions. Stand down.
The next event we're doing is the Rolling Thunder event, and this is another really easy event for Platinum, where we're in a thermobaric tank and have to kill all the infected on the streets. Best way to do this is to go up and down the streets all the time and keep firing that thermobaric cannon. Overall, this is a really easy event to get the achievement where you've got to get 50,000 kills.
Something's out of place. Let me take a look.
The next event we're doing is the Street Sweeper event. For this, we are using the Whip Fist and have to take out all the infected. Now the best way I found to do this was to go to the normal infected on the streets, and when you get to them you want to press X twice and hold Y to swing your Whip Fist around, all around you. And then while you're doing that you want to make sure that you're moving your camera so it can give you an idea of where to go next. Overall, this is another really hard event. I think I was lucky to get platinum on this one. I got it at the last second. It was so close it was. We're now on to the last event for this video, and it's called You Called the Thunder. Now for this, we're using the rocket launcher have to take out all the tanks and choppers and military personnel in this area. Now for this, you mainly want to focus on the tanks and choppers at first. I was quite lucky getting a helicopter to spawn, like I think he was there from when I was in free roam from before. And then when you're against the tanks, you want to keep jumping in the air to gain height over them and shoot twice or once if you're on easy. Like I was doing all these events on normal, so it took a bit longer to kill them. But overall, this is another really fun event, I think. That's all the kill events covered for this video. Stay tuned for the glide events next. Bye!